You have no idea in the boardrooms at work and stuff, when people say stuff, I'm like, curse you sheep. Because in my head, I'm like, hi, whatever it is, right? When someone says I'm whatever, oh my gosh. Like it's
doing a big sales push. I'm Hydra.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough at this point. I just like shake, and I've had people look at me and be like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, fine, never mind.
Fine, never mind. I'm sheep.
Time's up. Let's do this.
We're in for a wild night.
Welcome everyone to episode 228 of Born to be Wild, a wild and wild adjacent Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the wild and wild adjacent formats of Hearthstone and spotlighting members of the wild community. I'm your host, ElectricSheepCity. It's great to be back on this beautiful Friday evening here in Kickin' Rad, Colorado. I am joined by fellow host, Hydralisk.
Yo!
So for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. We record this podcast live most Friday evenings here at twitch.tv/borntobewildhs, and the video version of this podcast is then posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all podcast apps. However you are watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today. Thank you. Yes. You.
Before we get into the main topic of the show, I'd like to say a quick thank you to the patrons of the show. Your support means the absolute world to us. If you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, comment on this video on YouTube. Another simple way to support the show is to leave a review on your podcast platform of choice. If you're watching live on Twitch, we've got some awesome emotes that you can unlock by subscribing to the channel. This is free if you use Amazon Prime. Finally, if you'd like to support the show financially, you can join our Patreon for as little as $1 per month. We have some channels in the Discord that are unlocked by subscribing to the Patreon, where you can see the show coming together each week. Check it out. If you'd like to interact with us personally, please join our Discord, a free and amazing online community of friends all across the world who love talking about wild Hearthstone. Links to all this stuff and more, including our merch, can be found on our website, which is www.borntobewildhs.com. Electric Sheep City, how was your week?
Meowdy, friend. So my last 3 weeks were pretty good.
How was your 3 weeks?
Yeah. So, past couple weeks I had a couple of school assignments, and it was my kiddo's birthday, and we had Christmas, and I hit Legend and Wild with Pure Paladin, the Libram Paladin, and I hit Legend and Standard with Zarimi Priest, and I was already Legend and Twist from the last time we talked. And most importantly of all, I won Whamageddon this year, Hydra. Yes.
Wow.
For the uninitiated, Whamageddon is this challenge, I guess you would call it. So what is the most iconic Wham Christmas song that you know of, Hydra?
I don't know Wham songs other than Wake Me Up Before You Go.
So Last Christmas by Wham is ubiquitous, Last Christmas. Do. You know how the song goes. So the challenge is that you try and go until Christmas without hearing Last Christmas by Wham. And if you can go the entirety of the time, you win. If you hear it, then you think about the challenge and you're like, oh no, I lost Whamageddon. So that's Whamageddon. But yes, of course, the to kind of back up a little bit, I fast forwarded to Whamageddon because that was the most hilarious thing to do. But the lamb's second birthday was less than a week ago. So we had his birthday party a couple weeks ago. We had Christmas celebrations here, both of which were really exciting and really good. Little dudes like picking up words like whoa and saying all of the words. So he like tripped, and I thought that he said, a word that I couldn't say on here. I'm like, oh no, did he say that? And my wife was like, no. He said something else instead. I don't remember what, but it's just like, thank goodness, because like I've been careful.
It's hard. I guess if we're so used to doing the podcast, right? And so we do a PG podcast, as people may have noticed. So that probably will help, I would say, with the way you speak in front of your child, right? But
yeah,
the one time when you say something, you're just like, oh no, I said the thing. I hope he doesn't remember that.
But yes, I also, of course, Hearthstone related, did reach legend. Actually, in Wild, I think it was just yesterday or today. Like it was pretty recent. And standard Zarimi Priest, like it got a couple new tools with the new set, and it's a deck that like I hit 11x with in a couple of different accounts. So
nice.
It's one of those things that like I could kind of sleepwalk my way to legend with, and I pretty much did that in standard. So that's kind of been my like pretty much month of December. Hydra, I know that you've had an even more exciting month of December than I, so lay it on me. Like I know that I just know the tip of the iceberg, and I'm ready to kind of like peel back the layers.
All right. Speaking of ice, we went snowboarding. So my wife had planned this trip. Funnily enough, she doesn't actually ski or snowboard, but she really, really wanted to make sure Mini Hydra and I went to this one place called Sun Peaks, and she really wanted us to sort of have more of like a luxury experience. So we stayed in like the fancy hotel, and just decided not to care about how much money we were going to spend on dinner and like all this sort of stuff. Like just sort of go all out. And it was pretty nice. Though my son, he's been talking for a while about how he wants to do a backflip on a snowboard. So he is extremely athletic. He can do backflip just standing on the ground. He's done one in his classroom before. Mm-hmm. He did it in like a dance routine in gym class recently in phys ed. They had to do like this dance routine thing, and then he added like a backflip to it, which is so cool. But he's seen
so he got a good grade.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
he's just now he's wanted to add it to snowboarding because he's seen pictures of me in the past doing a backflip on a snowboard. Which was kind of like the thing that I did. It was just sort of like, this is what Hydra does. When he goes snowboarding, he's the guy who does the backflip. Now, we go snowboarding and we find like the perfect spot on the mountain to huck a backflip. And I said, this is the spot, man. If you're going to do it, this is the spot. So he goes and like first try completely hucks like the perfect backflip, lands, and then bails, right?
Oh, like, and he like nailed it too.
He nailed it. And I couldn't believe it. He's extremely athletic. He's been really good at doing all this stuff. But my ego was just shot for like a second. I'm like, no. I was like, that's my trick. Because I didn't think he was gonna do it, right? I know that he can, like on a trampoline on the ground and everything. And the fact that he hucked it and it was almost perfect first try, I was like, oh I can't have my son post on social media doing my trick. It sounds so bad, right? Like it sounds bad just saying it out loud, but I had to do it also. And I hadn't done it since so I had posted on Instagram in 2011 of me doing a backflip on a snowboard. I believe that is the last time I ever did it, in 2011. So I just put the blinders on.
That was 13 years ago.
Yeah. And strapped up and hucked it. And surprisingly enough, made it all the way around. I did post a video on Twitter of me doing it, and it's not like the most perfect backflip in the world. I do make it all the way around. I accidentally somehow do a 180 in the middle of the backflip, so I land facing the opposite way than I thought I was going to. And so I have to do this weird little slide revert thing out of it to go straight again.
Yeah, because you were perpendicular instead of...
Yeah, I was the other way. I was facing... When, like, the sun rose and came back down when I landed, I'm like, I am now facing the other way. So I did this little, like, butt slide revert thing or whatever. But honestly, it worked out way better than I thought it was going to. I only actually tried it twice. And I'm not probably going to do it again for some time. But if you're watching the stream, there is a sweet picture up of me upside down. And it worked out. I'm still alive. And we just had a really good time snowboarding up in Sun Peaks. It was great. Probably going to go back soon, hopefully. Try to get as many days in on the hill as possible. Snowboarding's fun, but I was sore for like 3 days. Just bet. Like the sheer amount. It was snowing so much. It was beautiful. Like a lot of people abandoned the hill because there was like a blizzard on our second day, and people decided to stay like in the chalet or whatever. And so there was no lines for the lifts. It was amazing. So like my son and I, we were just like living it up in the trees. There was like so much powder. We're just jumping off of everything.
Fresh powder, dude. That's glorious.
Yeah. It was perfect. As for Hydra's attempt to read 1 million books in a year, I'm sitting at I'm either going to finish around at 35, maybe 37 books. Right now I am at 35. I am listening to an audiobook and reading a physical book. So the audiobook that I'm listening to is Play Nice. I don't know if you've heard of this, but it's actually like a biography of Blizzard.
Yeah. I have heard of that.
Yeah, it was on sale on Audible or something for a couple bucks. And so I just decided, it's called like The Rise and Fall and the Future of Blizzard Entertainment. So right now it's like talking about right back in the day when they first started and they were making games for Super Nintendo, like Rock and Roll Racing and that kind of stuff. So I'm just at like that beginning part, which is really cool just to hear the whole story. They haven't gotten into making sort of like anything Warcraft or Diablo or StarCraft yet, but it's pretty neat. And I'm sure they're going to get into some of the like, this is written very recently. It was in like 2023, 2024. So they're going to get into some of the HR situations that Blizzard had and all that sort of stuff is going to be in the book. But yeah, so far it seems pretty cool. And then the other book that I'm reading, this is a physical copy, is called Smoke and a Smile. And so it's written by this guy named Eric Stover, who has conquered addiction and life on the street. So it's this look, it's from the perspective of somebody was like a meth addict, crack addict, that kind of thing, and actually made their way out of the life and is a successful human being with a family and everything. And it's just, it's kind of cool just to see the story of somebody who was at the lowest of the lows and made their way out. So I'm reading that, aiming to finish it before the end of the year. So that'll be pretty cool. Hearthstone wise, I am playing. I'm only in like I'm almost at Diamond. I'm in Platinum and Wild and in Standard as well. Playing some Aggro Priest, mostly in Wild, and just I don't know. You said you were playing Zarimi, so I might pop into some Zarimi in Standard. That would be pretty cool. I like Zarimi, but that's basically it for me for my last 3 weeks. I don't have to go back to work until the 2nd of January. So hopefully, yeah.
I was at work today.
Yeah, I know. You told me how much you were working, and I felt bad. I didn't want to be like, well, I haven't been working at all. but yeah, so I felt kind of bad. But yeah, I'm off till January 2nd, and yeah, just chilling, man.
Welcome to the news. The news is so good.
The news is so good. So first off, a huge congratulations to Yanming. They never said the first bit, so I'm not sure if that's an M and then an uppercase I or an ML. But they always said Yanming on the broadcast. So congratulations to him. Absolutely. For becoming the champion of the Masters Tour World Championships.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations. Must feel good, right?
I mean, it's got to have been. And unfortunately, even though the Born to Be Wild listener series is harder than a Masters Tour, not yet harder than a World Championship. I say yet. I believe. I believe in future World Championships that it shall be usurped. Just saying.
Right. Yeah, Max, you'll get it. You'll get it.
Absolutely. So, huge congratulations that away. And Maxi will definitely qualify later. But we also had a big patch post World Championship. So, huge patch post. There was a lot in it, balance adjustment wise. So, of course, there was red and green circle day the day before. Don't want to discount that thing. That happened and is always a community-wide event where people have fun speculating once they know what the cards are. But in patch 31.2.2, the balance adjustments started with Sonya Water Dancer. So Sonya was used to read, after you play a 1-cost card, get a copy of it that costs 0. So she was and is a 4-mana 3/3 with that effect. Now the effect is after you play a 1-cost minion, get a copy of it that costs 0. So instead of just a card, a discount that gets a copy and a discount. Spells don't get copies. Weapons, hero cards, if you could somehow maneuver that. Only minions.
Fair.
Yeah.
Rogue has a lot of extremely cheap or free spells that make this broken. So changing it to a minion is quite fair. Rogue is notorious for its mana cheat and all that sort of stuff. So fair.
And shenaniganry. And in standard, Sonya, I think, still can see play, but it's a, you're not doing griftish shenanigans any longer. So good nerf. Another nerf was to Ziliax Deluxe 3000, and that was to the Pylon module. So it used to read, your other minions have +1/+1. and now reads, your other minions have +1 attack. So since this is wild relevant too, I definitely want to read the dev comment here as well. So it's a pretty big milestone. And the dev comments reads, congratulations, Ziliax is the most nerfed card in history. To be fair, it's also a bunch of cards in one, but to be real, we might just need to nerf it again at some point. Those were separate parenthetical sentences, and I approve. This change should still let Pylon Module remain a relevant piece for aggressive decks, but make it easier to get back into a game against an early Ziliax board. And this is tracked with my experience with it as well. I haven't cut it from anything that I was running it in, but it's made things that used to have, a 1 health that went up to 2. And, that's relevant for a lot of hero power breakpoints. Now that's still relevant for those hero power breakpoints. So it has been an impactful nerf. However much I totally still run it and everything I used to. What's your experience been with it post nerf?
It's kind of like the Murloc War Leader nerf, right? Getting rid of the health. Okay, I guess that sucks, but in general, you're the aggressor. What you really wanted was that attack anyway. So I think without gutting the card, I think it's fine because it's kind of like running a Bloodlust. Bloodlust doesn't give you health, right?
No.
That's what you want, is you're trying to finish out the game with more attack. So I think it's a completely fair nerf, and I think that everyone should still play the card.
Yep. Absolutely agreed. It does make it slightly worse for those especially AoE breakpoints.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Doesn't get cut. Also nerfed, and this one makes me sad, was Sigil of Skydiving. Old. At the start of your next turn, summon 3 1/1 pirates with charge. New. At the start of your next turn, summon 2 1/1 pirates with charge.
Rough.
Dev comment. Aggressive decks getting toned down across the board with Ziliax, but Shaman in particular. But Shaman is a particular standout that we wanted to further adjust. This change tones down both its potential burst and its ability to build big boards early in the game, both of which Shaman is better at using this card to do than Demon Hunter is, even though it is a Demon Hunter card. We adjusted this card instead of a Shaman-only card because it's the best individual target to accomplish our goals across a swath of Shaman decks. Hydra, begin the lamentations for Sigil of Skydiving, please.
Leave Shaman alone! No.
Leave Demon Hunter alone.
This one's rough. I do love having aggressive decks around. You guys know this, that I have always loved aggressive decks, and this one just hurt because of so many other things going on in the meta, more annoying control decks and everything. Just let me have it. Just let me have my 3 pirates with charge. I don't know. It's rough. I'm sure everyone's going to still play the card anyway. I played it a little bit post nerf. Obviously, it's nowhere near as good, but I was still playing it. Were you still running this?
I was, and I wasn't really liking it as much. I think in standard, I still run it, but playing a 2-mana 2/2 is kind of meh. Playing a 2-mana 3/3 is good, a 2-mana 2-mana 2/1/1s with charge the next turn, they can't be cleared, all that good stuff. All that kind of just it makes it worse late game. In Wild, I almost want to cut it from my Pirate Demon Hunter, and I feel like I shouldn't want to cut it from my Pirate Demon Hunter, and I just haven't been playing Pirate Demon Hunter, and I love playing Pirate Demon Hunter and saying Pirate Demon Hunter apparently. So
Apparently.
yeah, no, this one makes me sad, and pouring one out for Sigil of Skydiving. Also nerfed was Crystal Cluster. It used to be 6 mana and now is 7 mana. It reads gain 3 empty mana crystals. Any that can't fit, summon a 3/7 elemental with taunt. I'm reading that in particular because we weren't really playing this so much in Wild. So for a little bit of insight into why this card was nerfed, can you read the dev comment for us, Hydra?
Yeah, so the dev comment is, Druid has received a variety of ways to ramp in recent sets. Really? Druid ramps? Because that's a core part of its class identity. But this card allows Druid to ramp to Travel Master Dungar faster and more consistently than we would like. We're adjusting this card instead of Dungar directly because this is an overperforming card in the deck even outside of Dungar, and this change will have a slightly larger impact on the deck as a whole than increasing Dungar's mana to 10 would be. So yeah, I agree. Instead of changing Dungar, we can adjust this one, make it cost 1 more from 6 till 7. It's honestly, like Sheep, you were saying, this is not something that anybody's actually really running in Wild. This is kind of a standard nerf at this point, but fair enough to talk about, at least for a little bit. Any additional comments on Crystal Cluster?
No, I think you nailed it. It's Druid ramp getting slower for standard. Yep.
You know what?
Nails it.
I think that them keeping the pulse on Druid ramp and being wary that it could get out of control ahead of time is a good thing. That they're aware of it, because Druid can be disgusting. So.
Yeah. Well, we come upon the highlight of the Wild section of these balance adjustments, starting with Darkglare. So old, after your hero takes damage, refresh a mana crystal. New, Battle Cry. If your hero took damage this turn, refresh 3 mana crystals. So still a 3 mana 3/4 demon. Darkglare's looking a little different. I've seen it like a couple of times since, and I kind of just wonder if my opponent forgot to update their deck and then like made the most of it. Like, you know, they read the card, they knew what it did, they were like, oops, and then just still, you know, played it.
Have you noticed if they're like hovering the card after it's just not infinitely refreshing them mana?
No, I mean, maybe on day 1 of the patch, but not a whole lot since. I haven't seen very much Darkglare since. I have still seen some of the other Wild card that is being nerfed, but have you seen any Darkglare since this nerf? That wasn't obviously a oops, I didn't realize this had been nerfed kind of situation or scenario.
Just people trying it. I actually was... I want to pull up my HS replay deck tracker to see how many Warlocks I've played against. And I'm actually looking at it right now. the last like 20 games I played against 2 warlocks. That's not
too bad.
nothing. And yeah, so I think some people maybe just trying to see if they can make it work. But yeah, it's pretty rough if you like Darkglare.
Well, what I have personally seen more of is the Demon Seed without Darkglare. So the Demon Seed has been changed from each step requiring you to take 10 damage on your turns to requiring you to take 12 damage on your turns. Still the same. Reward lifesteal, deal 3 damage to the enemy hero for the first 2 steps, and then, Tams in with the same effect for the 3rd step. So you are required to take 6 more total damage. So you need to take 36 damage in order to complete the quest. I've still seen not Darkglares, Demon Seed warlocks.
Demon Seed. Yeah.
Not nearly as many as before, but I have seen a few and they've still done decent. Like I think I'm about even with it. I've been playing on mobile, so I don't have stats, but like, it feels about even. I can remember times that I got them down before, or beat them right after, and I can remember times when they've got me. I've been seeing a lot more Renathal in it, which makes sense. Have you? I know that you said that you've seen about like 2 warlocks out of the last 20. What's kind of your like take or insight into the Demon Seed nerf as well? But before we read the dev comment, which I think is definitely important as well.
I think that at least touching it, adding that 6 extra damage, 2 per stage, I feel like it was necessary. I don't think it absolutely destroys it by any means. They do it so fast. Like the quest, the Demon Seed has always been a bit of a touchy spot with me. I don't like the deck myself. I never have. We know that a lot of people don't necessarily really love the deck. It's one of those like feels bad kind of things. Playing against it, and it's just something I haven't appreciated myself. So I like that it's at least a little more difficult to complete, but I think it's still fine.
Yeah, I agree. I really liked the fatigue version a little while ago. The kind of Giants version never really like jived with me, which is weird because I like, big decks and I like aggro decks and I like, those kind of play patterns. So it seems like playing Giants for cheap would be a thing that would resonate, but killing my opponent's a lot more fun than like building a board that then they can deal with. How about instead I just like win the video game?
Yeah.
But it's a polarizing play pattern. It's kind of like Solitaire-esque because it's just like, oh, you build boards, I either destroy them or don't, and I just draw through everything and then just win. So I understand why it's a polarizing play pattern. And I understand that it, kind of forces a lot of those later game decks that, other people really resonate with. Sometimes I do as well.
Hey, loser.
One thing I forgot to mention during my week was I played this really fun and really terrible Highlander shaman. So it was based around, of course, the Shutterwalk shenanigans.
Okay.
But it was also based around the Velen combo. So, you play Velen and you play Serenite Chain Gang, then, Valen has taunt that, you know, new Valen. Valen dies. Well, the death rattle, do all battle cries or death rattles from your other Draenei. Serenite Chain Gang is a Draenei, so it summons a copy. And so it just like is an eternal 7/7 with taunt just on your board.
Yeah, that's so annoying.
It's great.
I hate that.
It's
so
really
much.
fun. So I made this like really, really terrible one with like a lot of different Draenei too. And then, you know, just like different battle cries and stuff. And it was a terrible deck, but I still like, I started D4 on that day and I ended D4 with like one other star. But I played like 20 games or so. So like it went about even, like a little bit more than 50-50.
The first person that did that to me, oh my gosh, I'm getting upset thinking about it already. I didn't realize what was happening, and it kept resummoning. I'm like, oh no. And I felt so stupid too. Yeah. You're evil.
So the dev comment, to backtrack a little bit, real quick, the dev comment, this is really applicable to both the Demon Seed and Darkglare here. So it reads, the Demon Seed has had its ups and downs in Wild since its release. Our balance philosophy for Wild is that we generally step in when a deck is too powerful, too strong, and too frustrating to play against. Questline Warlock is currently the most popular deck in the format and has one of the highest win rates. It has always been one of the most polarizing cards in the game, so we're double tapping it here. Darkglare is the most egregious part of the deck, allowing for huge boards and consistent quest completion earlier than we'd like, so it is getting hit hardest. We're also ramping up the questline requirements to adjust the non-Darkglare versions of the deck. So, you know, they recognized with that like if they just nerfed Darkglare, then people would just shift to the fatigue version. And Hearthstone, man, like,
Yeah.
that's what just ramped it up to 11 and made it, you know, oh, I can complete my quest and then Reno, essentially, in a turn, which is what people were doing with Darkglare. So makes sense.
I think it's funny. They're cool with touching things that are extremely polarizing, as long as they're not sort of like core to the class, if you know what I mean. Like, are they ever going to touch Ice Block? Like, Ice Block is...
I hope so, man.
It's so annoying, right? And it's been annoying for 10 years. But so something like the Demon Seed or Darkglare is, you know, released in expansions later on. So it seems like they're okay with that, like adjusting those things. But when it's so core to the class from the beginning, then they don't want to touch it. But Ice Block, man.
I know. Well, and there have been calls for like people from a lot of people to just delete the Demon Seed for ages. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said both earlier and then again right here that they kind of tapped it, right? Like Darkglare, they just like burned. Like that card is gone. The Demon Seed they tapped.
You know what's funny is actually if Darkglare was, if you never knew what it did before, and you had a 3-mana 3/4 that refreshes 3 mana crystals, you'd be like, that's a cool card. Like, it actually still sounds cool on paper, but knowing what it did before,
it used to be broken.
But it's still like, if in a vacuum, Darkglare reads like an okay card.
Well, and I can still see playing it in something like a more zoo type deck, right? Like,
just like trying to flood the board or whatever.
Mm-hmm. It's a free mana 3/4, right? Like you play your Flame Imp, you play your Darkglare, you get 3 more mana crystals back. The downside is that you have to spend them first, and Warlock doesn't really have ramp. So, we've got Happy Ghoul instead, stuff like that I don't know. It's just bad now.
I forgot about Happy Ghoul. I love Happy Ghoul.
Happy Ghoul's awesome. The Demon Seed feels like something that got kind of more of a tap, and I wouldn't mind it being deleted, truthfully. And there have been a lot of people who've been calling for that for a long time. The play rate of the Demon Seed has gone down significantly, so I'm not complaining too much, and it is worse than it was. So again, I'm not complaining too much, and if this trajectory continues, then that's great. But if we get things like Hearthstone and more of them that make the downside not a downside anymore, then, I mean, you have to take 6 additional damage, but you can heal for like a Reno instead. There was additionally, before I move on to that point, because there was also a buff, but a friendly reminder, and this is still in effect right now. So all of these cards are eligible for a full dust refund for 2 weeks following the patch, which came out on the 17th of December. And if you want to see which cards in your collection you have that are eligible for this full refund, you can always type refund in your collection. So friendly reminder.
I love that
there.
feature.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, whenever I was making the show notes, I was like, oh, wait, did I go in and get my free dust? And I hadn't. So I went in and I got my free dust because, like, oops. And I did so by typing refund and seeing what all was there. Like, it's quick, it's easy, gets you right there.
I do that almost on a weekly basis, regardless of whether I know I have things to disenchant or not. I just type in refund like all the time, just to make sure I didn't miss something. Like usually, like once a week, let's type in refund and make sure I did the thing. Because it's better now, right? Like it's 2 weeks. It used to be, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was only a few days or something at first.
I don't remember. I wasn't super plugged in back then.
Yeah, it was like a very short amount of time from what I recall. Then now it's like, oh, yeah, you got 2 weeks. Don't worry about it.
Case in point, it's been 10 days and I typed in refund and got mine today.
Well, so much better. Like, imagine you go on vacation or something and they had just like nerfed everything and then you didn't get your dust.
That'd be so tragic.
Yeah, not everybody plays every day, so it's good.
Well, there was also a buff, and that is to this incredible card, Talgath, the Rogue Legendary. It was a 4-mana 4/4. It's now a 3-mana 3/3. If you don't remember Talgath...
I don't. I'm Googling it right now.
Yeah, so it's a demon. And it reads, undamaged enemy minions take double damage. Combo, get a backstab.
Oh, that's right.
And that's why you don't remember it.
Combo, get a backstab.
And now it's cheaper, so it's easier to combo.
Yeah. Cool. So it's 3 mana instead of 4 mana. All right. Sweet, I guess.
Combo, get stabbed in the back. Ow. Pretty much though, Millsy, yeah. So patch 31.2.2 had some other battlegrounds updates as well. We won't really cover those here because we're a Wild exclusive podcast. But we are also a Wild adjacent exclusive podcast. Yeah? And there were some arena updates. So they're making a couple of arena micro adjustments to reduce the power of Death Knight this season. So Horizon's Edge, the location, can no longer be drafted, and travel security will be offered significantly less while being drafted. So they removed like the more powerful Death Knight card, the most powerful Death Knight card from the format, and then toned down one of the more powerful ones as well.
What's significantly less though? Like, we don't have a percentage? We don't know.
I don't know.
It just says significantly less.
It's like significantly less.
Or like, okay, thanks. Thanks for clearing that up.
Think of less. Now think significantly less than that.
Okay, perfect. Mm-hmm. I'll know exactly the amount now.
Does that qualification quantify it well for you?
Perfect. That's hilarious.
So that was patch 31.2.2. Of course, also in the client, it was and is the event Bob's Battleground or like Holiday Bash thing. I finished mine, which is why I don't recall what it's called, because I've already collected all the things and I'm not checking the tab so much anymore. But you got the Bob.
You're talking about the event.
Yeah, the event where you get Bob and Golden Bob and some packs and some Battleground coin things. And
I'm on the last quest where you get like 1,200 points or whatever for doing 150 things. I can't remember what the 150 is, but I was at like 30 last time I checked.
Nice.
But almost there. I feel like the first phase of the weekly quest was like way harder than the rest, and everything else was way easier.
Everything was like smooth sailing. That was my experience too. Like everything else was just kind of like a numbers game, and I could play my normal decks, which I'm kind of a fan of. Like, encourage me to play the game, but not making me play in a like wacky way for those big weekly quests. Like, if you want people to complete it, which I think they do, then not having them be miserable while playing the game seems like a good idea.
Yeah. One of my dailies was like play Pirates and Demons or something like that, and it was just super easy. I just played the Pirate Shaman deck in Standard, and you had to play 50 of them. I did it in like a game. Which is kind of funny.
So the way they
did it
even, because it was like play 50 minions. Pirates and Demons cost double or count double. So like you could play whatever. But if you wanted to like just get through it real fast, you could knock it out even faster, which I liked that kind of incentivizing. I thought that was neat.
Yeah, much appreciated. Thank you, Blizzard.
Mm-hmm. Well, Hydra, this is our final show of 2024. We will be back in 2025. Like that wasn't supposed to sound ominous. It really wasn't. But this is the last one of the year, and you know, it's somewhat of a tradition around these parts that we kind of do some sort of New Year's resolutions. In years past, we've kind of solicited some from the community as well, which we still welcome if you definitely if you want to submit yours now. Hydra and I both were. I mean, you heard our last few weeks. We were a little out of pocket, unfortunately. So we had not yet arranged that for this one. But Hydra, do you have any resolutions that you would like to resolve for the year of our Yogg 2025?
You got me with the year of our Yogg.
I'm glad you appreciated that
one. So as I approach being 40 years old, I I want to try to remain a little more fit, and this year I did do quite a bit when it came to my fitness, riding my exercise bike, that sort of thing. I've done last year more than this current year, a lot more hiking and that kind of thing. But I want to step that game up a bit, I would say. I want to be entering that the next decade in a better state than I currently am. And I don't think I'm in a bad state, but I feel like I want to be in as best shape as I can going into my 40s kind of thing. So I want to make sure that I'm on top of that. So that's a big priority for myself. Of course, there is the reading challenge that I do each year. And like I said, in between 35 to 37 books, I'm going to keep stepping that up. The Dark Tower TV show, I think, might be coming out somewhat soon. I don't know if it's coming out the next year or when that is, but I almost want to read those books again.
I don't think they've started filming yet. So,
Okay,
so
good.
I
I have
think
time.
we're a ways out. They might be starting filming soon, but you've definitely got time.
Because I haven't finished every Stephen King book yet, Sheep. And there's a lot of Stephen King books, and I can't just
There are
start...
more than two.
I can't start the Dark Tower over again if I haven't finished all the books. You know me, I have to do like everything in order.
I get it.
Yeah. Anyway, so reading and health seems to be like sort of my big two that I just want to continue on. And also just career-wise and stuff. I spent this last year being a manager, Bossy Hydra, we said. And that's been a really cool experience for me. And I want to just improve on how I deal with people, how I manage stress, all that kind of thing. It definitely takes a lot more. Like I wake up if I have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I think about work, and I don't like that. But I just want to maybe just get a better, I guess, work-life balance. Maybe where when I'm waking up in the middle of the night to go to the washroom, that I'm not thinking about work. I miss the days where I was thinking about Hearthstone when I got up to
thinking
pee.
about Ragnaros.
I used to get up to pee and think about Hearthstone, and now I think about work. And I would like that to not be the case. That's my there we go, Sheep. That's my New Year's resolution. Don't think about work while having to pee at 3 a.m.
I wish that I could. Wiser words have never been spoken there, because that would have been like the perfect ending.
I know, right? Okay, Sheep. How about yourself? Do you have any goals that you want to do this year, this upcoming year of 2025?
Yeah. So the big one is that I should be done with grad school in June. I've been focusing on this thing a lot, obviously. It's been something that I've been pouring a lot of time and attention and effort and for a while now, and it should be done in June. So that's one. I mean, it's kind of a calendar thing at this point, but I have to finish this class and then do two more. Like I still have work to do.
You've been rocking it though. Like you show me your grades and stuff. You've been killing it.
Thank you. I've been trying, nerd. But once I have more time, I want to use that not to like just dump into like random other stuff, but to like kind of enhance what I'm doing now. So like for one, won't be missing as many podcasts because that's one of the things that I'm mentioned before, but focusing on grad school whenever I have like a big paper. It's been like a stressful thing around our house whenever I'm like doing other stuff. So I haven't been on the podcast in those weeks, and that's been helping a lot. So thank you for freeing up that time. But also I'm going to have some more time and can spend some more of it here and look forward to doing so. And spending more time with the kiddo. And, you know, my partner as well. Like, she's awesome. So I really want to do those things as well as, you know, I've had 11X and not this year in Twist and in Standard, but it's been a little while since I've had 11X and Wild, and, you know, maybe after June, I'll kind of like try hard 1 month and like shoot for it again, just to prove it to myself that I still got it, you know, because it's been a little while. I've never hit rank 1 in anything, and I don't think that's going to change. But you know what? It'd kind of be cool to do it at least once. I've gotten to 2, man. I've gotten so close. So, yeah. I mean, it'd be cool if that could be in Wild.
You have to pull like an all-nighter on day 1, like day 1 Wild Legend. You just have to be the first one there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's
the easy way.
Like, that's the easy way, right? Is just to be the first one there.
Just race.
Yeah.
So that's one strat. All of this is like looking at like a June, for that one, probably July or after, because, you know, I finished my last class on like June 8th or 9th or whatever, but like after season reset. So that's the key point there. So, you know, diving back into more of the not just academic pursuits, but also, you know, I'm going to have my master's. It'd be cool to like use that. So that's kind of my other thing that I don't know that I'm so much resolved in so much as like wanting to pursue. So I don't, you know, I don't know that we could call it a resolution, but that's a hope, a wish.
Yeah.
An actionable wish.
That'll be cool. I feel like I'm not even you, but I could feel like this weight will be lifted off your shoulders come June.
It really will be. It really, really will be. Until like there's a like random week that I have off, I don't realize how much it's like absorbing my life until, you know, it's not for a little bit. And it's like, oh, wow. That said, so we had this week, quote unquote, off, you know, so nothing was due this week. So, I may need to adjust my, like calendaring stuff just because I don't know if I remember that. That's a digression. I printed out the material like I always do for different weeks. And, this is double-sided. This is the reading for this week. This is this is about a half a ream of paper from our audio enjoyers. I'm holding
It's a lot of paper.
Yeah.
If you can't see, this is a lot of paper, people.
This is not normal, but it is for this class, so that's fun. All to say, it will definitely be liberating.
Unrelated Advice with Electric Sheep City.
That's me.
With you. That's you. All right. So earlier in the show, we discussed how I did a flip. And I was stoked that I did a flip.
Yeah.
And in an effort to attempt to feel young still, I did that flip. Now, could you give me some advice, maybe some coaching, a path maybe to follow so that in 10 years from now, I could do the flip again?
No.
No, you got nothing.
I got nothing. I don't know how to age gracefully. I can tell you what not to do.
Okay. Don't smoke cigarettes.
Yeah. Don't only eat the good tasting food, also have the food that's a little bit more bland and stuff like that. Stay active. I guess keep doing flips so you remember and have the muscles to do it. I don't know, man. I'm the youngest person on the podcast. I don't know how to age. What?
10 years from now, I'll do the flip.
I believe in you. I've never done a flip once. Better yet, nearing 40. I'm 35. I couldn't do one now.
We got to get sheep to do a flip.
More foolish words have never been spoken. And you heard that on
Born to be wild.
I'd love to be able to do a flip, but it ain't
flip,
gonna happen.
flip.